Hey, 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 I hope you are ready to build your brand. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So stick around and please share this out with someone. Well, welcome everybody. I am super excited to be here tonight, this evening, today to talk to you and share with you about building your own personal brand. It's something that has been like a passion of mine. I've been doing it now for several years, and I was doing it more one-on-one with individual entrepreneurs, individuals. I've kind of shifted my consulting practice to the corporate. And I realized that a lot of the work that I was doing there with leaders and with teams involves a lot of this building your brand part. And so I never really departed from it. And I thought, you know what? For 2023, let's jump back into that. Let me really go back and share all the things that I've done and to help people and help you stand out more powerfully, because it was something. And I'm going to share with you, hey Cassie, I'm going to share with you my story and why this is so important to me and why I branded it. And I did promise that I was going to tell you the eight really powerful benefits of building your own personal brand. 4 of them are personal, 4 of them are professional. I'm going to share that with you as we go through this presentation this evening. But I am going to start with sharing my screen with you. Oops. I got to go back to the beginning of this. I got to go all the way back. We were running through it. Listen, it's tech stuff. So let me go and share a little bit about myself, who I am, and what I do. So my name, again, is Alicia Couri. I am the founder and CEO of Red Carpet CEO, as well as Audacious Concepts, Inc. Audacious Concepts, Inc. is a boutique consulting firm, and we work with the corporate market. And Red Carpet CEO is a digital media and personal branding company. So we do web shows, podcasts, produce them, I host them, as well as help people with their brand. And in addition to that, I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I am like I said, web show and podcast host and producer. I'm a mastermind facilitator. And you know what? There are several other things. I just need to get back to my presentation. And I'm a strategic advisor to leaders. So I work with corporate clients and in leadership. So today we're going to cover the elements of a strong personal brand. I have been featured on television on ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, NBC Daytime, CNN, as well as, SNN, as well as I've been featured in the Small Business Trendsetters, the Boston Herald, and Digital Journal. They've picked up some of my stories. So I can tell you that that journey for me was not something that I ever thought I would have done 10 years ago. And when I get to my story, I'm going to share just how all of that came about. But let's stick with branding for now. You may be asking yourself, so what is a brand? And Jeff Bezos says that a brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So that's in part very true, because that means that your brand is really your reputation. So when we look at what a brand is, the definition of brand, it's the confluence of your personal and professional experiences, your values, your network, your online presence, your reputation on and offline. So Jeff Bezos is right. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room, but it's also all these other things. And there's really a difference between a personal brand and a corporate brand. When you look at a corporate brand, you're looking at what is that company's image. A lot of corporate brands have a very strong visual image. So they're looking at their image, their identity, the way it's presented to their customers. It represents also their values as a company, and it's their voice and messaging as a whole. So when you're looking at a corporate brand, you have to look at the entire company. What is our entire company's vision and mission and messaging? When you're looking at a personal brand, it's who am I? What is my authenticity out there? Like, how am I presenting myself in the world that really shows who I am? And a lot of times, people will say, well, Alicia, I know who I am and people know who I am. And so I don't need to build a brand because people already know who I am. I'm going to push back on that a little bit, because while we may know some things about ourselves, and you can tell me if you've ever heard this before, like put it in the chat, let me know, not in the chat, in the comments, because I'd love comments. So put it in the comments if you feel like you really know yourself. Just tell me, yes, I know myself, because I'll push back on that a little bit for you. Hi, Couri, and a happy birthday, Couri, by the way. Happy birthday. And I'll tell you, there's something called in psychology called the Johari window. And the Johari window really shares like these 4 different parts of ourselves. And so there's your public self, where you know about you and other people know about you. So that's a part that everybody kind of is aware of. And that's a part that you're probably thinking, well, yeah, I know me and everybody else knows me, but that's just a quarter of you. There's also the part that's in the unknown self, where your blind spots are. And sometimes people see things about you that you don't see yourself. And so there may be parts of you that you don't know. And it's coming out in your brand in a way that is not necessarily the best light. And then there's a part of you that is your unconscious self that you don't know and others don't know about. And that's really a place of discovery that we can start digging into. And then there's the hidden self that's known to you, but not to anyone else. And so when we're talking about, well, I know myself, there are 2 parts of you that you don't know yet, you don't know about, until you really start digging into doing some of this work. Then some of these things come to light, and then you have a choice on how you want, whether you want to continue in this behavior or if you want to make changes in that way. So when we're dealing with the personal brand, which is the biggest difference between a corporate brand, is really getting to know the person and really operating as the person that you want to show up as, and have other people know who that is. And so that's exciting work. It's hard work, but it's exciting work. And so, hey, David, thank you for joining. Yep, there are definitely blind spots that we have. And so when we look at your mind, we look at the subconscious mind and we look at the conscious mind. Honestly, the conscious mind runs at about 4,000, is it 4,000 or 2,000 bits per second? And the subconscious mind runs at around 400 billion bits per second. And so things that are buried in your subconscious you aren't always aware of them. And that's where, when I was talking about the Johari window, that's where your blind spots are. That's where things that you don't know about yourself lie. And so when it's running so fast at 400 billion bits per second, it's not perceivable by the conscious mind. So doing a lot of this work helps to slow some of that down enough that you become consciously aware of it. And so a lot of times we don't know what's holding us back. We don't know that some of the things that we're thinking or some of the things that we're believing are actually holding our brand back from really being as powerful as it could be and as visible as it could be. Leland Van Vanderwall says that our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate something, our belief about it will change. So sometimes we're living in this in this world that we're not really challenging our own belief systems. We're just allowing it to run, and a lot of them are holding us back. So my challenge to you, because I've done a lot of this work and I continue to do this work, and if you're not doing it, my challenge to you is to start really evaluating and asking yourself questions about, what do I believe? And a lot of times you need someone really asking you the right questions to help pull some of those things out of you. And if you don't have the right person who's challenging those beliefs and allowing you to really be firm in the things that you're firm in and question the things that need to be questioned, then you're not in the right circles, you're not in the right rooms, you're not around the right people to help pull that out of you. And so I challenge you with that today, to really think about, who am I surrounding myself with? And are they challenging me to be the best me that I can be, and challenging some of these blind spots that I may have? So when we're thinking about a personal brand, the truth really is that by default, everyone has a brand. Everyone has a reputation. But not everyone needs to develop a carefully curated personal brand. Not everybody needs to do that. But it's for those people that really, really want to step out and really make a difference and be different. Because your brand, when you're building when you're building a personal brand, you have to be intentional and purposeful about it. You have to do it with purpose, and it has to be intentional. And we are going to go down and share the elements of that. Yes, yes, Cassie, even those of us, because I have a wonderful coach. Her name is Angelique Ruers. Hey, Angelique. And she always says, the sharpest knife can't carve its own handle. So you may be doing this work with other people. You may be an amazing mindset coach like Cassie is. But if you're not actually having someone challenge you, you don't see your blind spots. You don't know what's there. So I would encourage you to make sure that you're around the people that can really help pull those things out for you. And when you're building a brand, there are very specific ways to do this that is purposeful and intentional. Your brand should be classic. It should be consistent and cohesive. So when you're building out your brand, you want to follow the 3 C's: classic, consistent, and cohesive. So let me tell you, I'm gonna tell on myself a little bit. You guys have been here sharing, kind of hanging in with me. So let me tell you about me for a minute and how this began for me in this whole world of branding. So I was in the beauty industry. I was a professional makeup artist and hairstylist. I had an on-site business where I went and did hair and makeup for my clients. And as I think I was about 6 or 7 years into my business, and I thought, I need to have a more polished brand. So I did hire someone to create a logo for me, because I believed that a brand was a logo. It was a visual thing, and that I needed a more powerful branded image. So I needed a corporate image. So I had them come up with this brand for me. It was black and white with a little hint of blue, because my colors were blue and black and white. And so if you see it there, it says AC Beauty, Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. I thought, man, I'm going to get all the clients with this. And my tagline, I had a tagline. It was bringing the professional to you. So I had a branded logo, I had a tagline, and I thought, if you did good work, then your brand will grow on its own, that it'll just grow. And I just had to be focused on the work that I did. And I went out and I got training and I learned all I could and I built my skill set and I invested in the products, in the makeup and in the hair stuff. And I took classes and I was always up to date on the latest, trends in makeup and how to do it and skincare and all those things. And I that's what I invested in. That's what I invested my money as a business owner in. I did not invest in me. Guess who was showing up every single time I was doing business? Me. I was showing up with all my insecurities and all my stuff was showing up. And so this belief that I had that you just needed to do good work and the business will grow didn't address the fact that I wasn't charging my worth. All the stuff I was investing in to learn the craft and be a good makeup artist, I wasn't charging what I was worth. I was buying into everybody's sob story and excuse. I was giving away my services all the time. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Put it in the chat. Does that sound familiar? I was constantly giving away my services. I was pouring more into them than I was into building my business. Like I was giving away so much, and realized at some point things had to change. Things had to change. So I thought if I got a better branded look, then things would change. So one day I went to a luncheon. Actually, I'll tell that story in a minute. So let me put a pin in that story. I want to share with you why this was showing up for me time and time and time again. You see, this is me at 3 years old. This is me at 3, and I was audacious. I was that child that you knew was in the room because my mouth I was never quiet. My mouth was always going, and I was loud, I was audacious, and I had a lot of energy. And so I was born in Trinidad. And when I was 4.5 years old, 2 major things happened to me. One, my mother shaved my hair off when I was 3, about 4, cut all my hair off. And so I was then convincing everybody that I was a girl and not a boy because I was a tiny little tomboy. So always hanging around the boys and playing in the yard and climbing trees. So they always thought I was a boy. And I had to convince people I was a girl. And then the second major thing that happened is my family moved from Trinidad, where I was born, all the way to Australia. And so when we landed in Australia and I started going to school, I didn't look like anybody. I didn't sound like anybody. It was a small town. Nobody had seen the likes of me. And slowly my voice shut down. Like I stopped talking. I just wanted to disappear. I just wanted to blend in with everybody else. I didn't want people to stare at me anymore. I didn't want people to ask me questions. So my whole being wanted to disappear. That's all I wanted to do. Blend in, disappear, not be noticed. Fast forward now, I'm in business. And I'm still carrying that with me, that I just want to blend in and disappear. But I want people to remember me. I want them to remember the work. I want them to call me back. I want them to refer me. I want them to photographers and wedding planners to know about me. But I wanted them to know about the business, not me. I didn't want to be known. I didn't want to be seen. Can you see the conflict in that? That was a double binding message. That was not going to get me where I wanted to go. So back to the story I was going to tell. So I used to show up at events by myself. I would go sit in a corner by myself. I'm here at a networking event and I would go sit by myself in a corner. And then I would go home. Maybe 1 or 2 people would have come up to me and talked to me. And then I would just leave. As soon as I could, I would leave. Please, please, please don't ask me to get up and introduce myself. Please, please, please don't ask me to talk about myself. Don't ask me. I don't want to. I'd go to the bathroom when they were introducing themselves. That's how I showed up. My work was good, but I showed up not in a powerful way at all. And so I don't know if that's your story or any of you used to do that. I'm telling on myself, that's what I used to do. So I went to this networking luncheon, and I sat again, found a table by myself, sat by myself, and suddenly the table filled up. And I wasn't really talking to anybody at the table, but there was a girl next to me. We kind of exchanged pleasantries, but she was next to me, and she was speaking to another woman who was next to her about branding. And just, that was something on my mind. I'm like, oh, I need a brand. I need a stronger brand. So I tapped her on the shoulder and like, oh, you guys are talking about branding. What is that about? And they started telling me about the program and everything. And she was saying, oh, I bet you could still get in. And I was so excited to do it. And I begged her to show me who it was and how to get in and how to sign up. And so I did this branding course. Little did I know it was not about a better logo. It was about personal branding. It was about me. And I I struggled for a while through it. In fact, I did the course back to back. This was the first time I invested in myself. I actually put money into me. It was the largest investment I'd ever made in myself, not for products, not for training on how to do, but actually working on myself. And through that process, I uncovered so many things that was in my subconscious mind that was holding me back, so many limiting beliefs that I didn't even realize who that 3-year-old girl was. I had to go all the way back to that 3-year-old girl to find my audacity, my audaciousness, my courage, my confidence. I had to find her again and pull her back into my life. And so without doing that work, I never would have found her, and I never would have of of I never would have become who I am today. And that's why I'm so passionate about doing what I'm doing. I'm sorry, I missed the comment that just popped up. I wasn't looking at the screen. I was looking up through at the camera. Oh, thank you, Michael. Oh, hi, Mike. How are you doing? And so that's a little bit of backstory on where I started my journey with branding and why it's so important. And so everything changed for me when I did that course. I shifted my logo from that very sterile black and white, and I found my colors. I found, what really made me come alive. And and I had a designer create this logo. She created this logo for me, and it's been the foundation of everything else that I've done ever since. And so part of my brand, sorry, I have a hair on my shoulders. Part of my brand was, as a makeup artist now, I was stepping out. I was stepping out and doing things that I normally would not have even dreamt of doing. So I booked myself on television, and I started getting media exposure. So as a makeup artist, I booked myself on TV to do different segments about makeup. And then I wrote a book, and I became an author. And then I started booking myself on TV to talk about my book. And so, I started to build my thought leadership platform. I started to promote myself. I started to get bigger opportunities. Acting gigs came my way. Speaking gigs came my way. Other things started to come into my sphere when I started doing this branding work. And then I realized that the thing that I love so much about fashion and makeup, because I studied fashion and I was a makeup artist and hairstylist, was the transformation that I was able to help people with. And it was quick. And so when I recognized that and connected it to why I'm so passionate about this branding work, it's because now I get to do the transformational work with people from the inside, and that's lasting. When I did makeup, they washed their face off. They were confident and beautiful and amazing in the moment, but that washed off. What was left was the same person that I started with. Now I get to do work with people that transforms them for their lifetime. And that's why I'm passionate about doing this. And that's why I want to be able to help you to really expand your brand and expand your footprint and be the best version of you that you can be out here in the world. So this is what the evolution of my brand looks like now. So it's AC Beauty changed from that sterile look to a more, more curves as I do, So everything kind of was pulled from that original brand, and that's how the visuals started coming together for me. So I'm going to give you the first 4 benefits of your brand. So hope you're ready. So the first 4 benefits. Number 1 is it reveals to yourself and others who you really are. It really starts pulling out who this person, if you were hiding like me, and even if you weren't hiding, but you thought this is all that there is to it, it really starts giving you a clear path to your purpose, and it can reveal your purpose to you. So the second thing is it allows you to know what you personally you need to work on. Like I needed to work on my confidence. I was lacking in that area. I mean, I had it. It was inside of me somewhere, but I wasn't I had built up so many negative beliefs about myself that I wasn't able to actually, show it. So I needed to work on my confidence. So it helps you understand what areas you need to work on yourself. It exposes all those hidden superpowers within your zone of genius that you didn't realize that you had. And it uncovers your deepest desires and gives you a roadmap for making them come true. So those are the personal benefits of building a personal brand. So I'm going to go into the professional benefits in a minute, but let me see. Any questions? Anyone? Brooke, is there anything that anyone was asking that before I go into the framework and share the elements to the personal brand? All right. So she's scanning. Nothing yet. All right. Let's dive in. Oh, wait. Let me see. Okay. Let me dive in now to the elements to building a personal brand. So can I get the screen right? There we go. So these are the 4 P's, as I call them, the 4 elements to building your personal brand. Number 1. So your brand has to be strategic, but it's also, there's a big mindset component to it. And so the first part of it is really all about you, and it's your posture. It's who you are, because you really have to understand who you are when you start building this out. So it's who you are at your core. And I'm going to go into that, just briefly touch into all these 4 parts. It's your presentation. What does your brand look like when it comes together? You see, what happened to me is my brand started really coming together once I started understanding me more. And then how are you positioning your brand in the marketplace? And then how do you promote yourself? So posture, presentation, positioning, and promotion. So those are the 4 elements that you really need to work on when you're building out your personal brand. So let's talk about posture for a second. Let's talk about posture. The strength of your brand is dependent on its foundation, and your posture is your foundation. So who are you at the core? At the core of your being, who are you? The way I spell core is CORRREE. So bear with me for a second. So when I look at the C is your character and your self-awareness. How aware are you about who you are? Your O is how do you orient yourself to the world around you? And what are your values? And just a little aside about values, we get really, really hung up on these are my core values. And we'll do an exercise, I do an exercise with clients about their values, but I want you to understand something about your values too. There are times when those core values can actually hinder you more than help you. And I'll tell you what I mean. Something like, for me, one of my core values is accessibility and responsiveness. Like, I want to be responsive to people as soon as I possibly can be. My clients know that they can count on me to be very responsive, and they can also count on me. They're very. I make myself accessible to my clients, and so there are times, though, if I don't put a boundary around that, I'm too accessible, and I can be too responsive. Meaning, if I'm in the middle of a client meeting and someone's texting me or calling me and I can't get back to them right away, that makes me feel like I'm not being responsive to my client, or I'm not being responsive enough to my kids, or, so that value needs to have guardrails around it to protect me from going off the deep end. So when we're talking about values, there's a dark side to our values too. If we're not putting the right boundaries around them, they can become toxic, and they can create problems for us in our brand. And then we're not living up to the standard of our brand. So that's a whole other thing when we start talking and diving into values. Then let's look at our reputation, and our reputation equals our relevance in the market right now, plus the results that we get for our clients. And so let's look at those R's. What is our reputation? How is that looking? And then the E is not just experience. What experience do you have? But also, how are your customers, clients experience? What is the client experience? So we're looking at experience from both sides of the fence. Like, what experience, natural experience you have, but also what is the customer's experience, and then what is the expertise that you have, like all the expertise. A lot of times when I talk to entrepreneurs, or they've started their business, they're corporate escapees, they've left corporate and they've started their business, suddenly all their expertise in the job that they had for 15-20 years becomes null and void. It's like, they're like, well, I'm new in business. I'm just starting out. I don't really know. Yes, you do. You have to take all that experience and all that expertise with you. You don't just leave it, at the door when you close the door to that company and start your own business. You don't leave those experiences and that expertise behind. You bring it with you. So a lot of times there's a mindset shift around a lot of these things that we have to dive into. And so you need to understand how you are, how you're building out your core, your foundation for your brand. So let's look at a little exercise. And this is funny, because if you've never done this before, I encourage you to do it. In fact, I encourage you to do it right now as you're listening to me. Like, text somebody, or put it out on Facebook, or on whatever social media that you like to put it out on. But ask someone what their first impression of you was. What was your first impression of me? Do that and really start understanding what they're saying. If it's something that it might be negative, I have a negative first impression story that I'm going to tell you. So it might be a negative thing, but don't look at it negatively. Look at it as data. Look at it as a data point. Look at it as, this is how my brand is showing up. This is how I am showing up. So how can I shift this? That's a huge benefit. I remember years and years ago, I was 18 years old. That's a long, long time ago. I was 18 years old, and I was applying for a job as a flight attendant. And I was apprehensive. Like, I was really, really scared. I wasn't apprehensive. I was like, I'm going in there to apply to be a flight attendant. And back in those days, that was like a big deal. If you became a flight attendant from, I was still living in Trinidad, that was a big deal. Like, you become a flight attendant, the only thing higher than that is being a pilot, and you're like, or the president. So like, I was applying to be a flight attendant. It was a really big deal. And so I walked. Oh, I'm back. Okay, sorry about that. Um, yeah, so I need to wrap this up. So, oh, you want to know what my first impression of you? That's funny. I will tell you, Cassie. Let me finish this story. I will tell you. So I walked into the room. I was very quiet. Remember, I told you the story about how I used to show up and how I walked into this room, and there were all these candidates in this room, and some of them, like, they knew each other and they were talking, or I don't know, but I walked into the room and I sat down. I found somewhere in the corner and I sat down by myself. I wasn't smiling. I just showed up and I pulled out a book and I was reading a book. I didn't talk to anybody. And I waited until they called my name and I walked in the room. Well, one of the guys that was there that day, which I didn't even remember he was there, I didn't speak to anybody. Later on, we became really good friends. He and I were hired at the same time. We became really good friends. And one night we were all hanging out at a hotel room somewhere around the world. And we were talking. And he said, when I first saw you, I thought, oh my God, there's another stuck up bee who's so full of herself. He's like, I thought you were so full of yourself because you wouldn't talk to anybody. You were like, you strutted into the room, you looked around, and then you sat by yourself and you didn't talk to anybody. And I was flabbergasted. I was like, really? And he's like, and now that I get to know you, you're so cool. I never would have thought that by the way you walked into the room. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is how I'm showing up. I'm in my own little world, but I'm showing up in a way that people are getting the wrong impression of me. And so first impressions are very, very important. And I shifted that. So even after that, I would come into a room. I was still, go sit by myself, but I would smile. I would come in and I would smile at people so that they didn't think that I was stuck up and unfriendly. So you have an opportunity as you do this first impression exercise to really understand how people are seeing you when they first see you. Cassie, I thought when I first saw you, I thought you were beautiful, or that you had it all together. I mean, you were a rock star, literally. You used to sing on stages. You were a rock star. I just thought you were beautiful. You were kind. You were so supportive. I remember I met you. I was doing makeup for the event, and you sat in my chair. I was doing your makeup. And you're so friendly with everybody around. So that was my first impression of you, Cassie. All right, moving on. I'm taking too long doing all of this. Presentation. So now presentation is pulling all of these things together now. Okay. So we want to look at your brand assets. Brand assets. What are those brand assets that you have? Like I said, I thought a logo and a website. That's all you needed. That was your brand, a logo and a website. I didn't know all this other stuff went into it. So let's look at and catalog and really create really good brand assets. Colors are very important. There's a whole psychology behind the colors that you use. It's not random, and it has to speak to who you are. And so, I used to be afraid of red. I really was afraid of red, but red was such a powerful color. And I was hiding in this powdery kind of muted blue tones that was so calming because I thought I was so calming. But the thing is that having that blue wasn't really representing me. It wasn't representing the power that I have. And so red is a powerful color. So I show up in red because I show up in my power. But so there's a whole psychology. I love you too, Cass. There's a whole psychology behind color, and we have to dig into all of those things. What does your bio look like? What do your headshots look like? What are those brand assets? Do you have a book? Do you want to have a book? Do you have a podcast? Do you want media appearances? I just had a client I was working with, and in just 2 weeks, I was working with her on stuff. She needed to get some media and some things, and yesterday Friday she texted me and said, "Oh, she's in San Diego, and she's like, KPBS wants me on their is booking me to come on their show." I was like, "Yay, great job!" She just started pitching herself on Thursday, and she got one on Friday. And then yesterday she texted me. She's like, "Oh my God, CBS said yes. CBS in San Diego." She's like, "That's a major market." And I'm like, "Woohoo! Yay!" I was so excited for her because the work that she's doing is just phenomenal. She has a nonprofit. Bree, I'm shouting you out. She has a nonprofit she's just started. She just launched it this January, middle of January. She's doing a pageant for girls with disabilities to show the talent that they have. And so we're working on her brand. We're working on getting her media appearances so that she can promote the pageant and get sponsorship and all this stuff. So I'm so thrilled for her that she's getting on those things. So we're going to prep her for television so that she can get on, and she's still going to be pitching herself to more stations so she can get on and do a blitz all over San Diego. So what are those brand assets? So you need to have those. You need to gather those things. And then there's positioning. So this is all about marketing, right? How are you positioned? What is your thought leadership platform? Do you have intellectual property? Do you have patents, designs? Do you have trademarks and licenses? What are you creating? Do you code? Do you have special codes? Are you a coder? What is that platform? And then what is your visibility strategy? How are you getting out there? Are you doing television and media? Are you speaking? Are you getting on podcasts? Are you hosting your own podcasts? Are you, what are you doing? How are you using social media to get out there? And, are you creating platforms for yourself to be able to do these things and to go out there and have visibility? When I decided to enter a pageant for the first time in my life at 50 years old, a few years ago, I had never done a pageant before, and I stewed about doing it. And I ended up going and doing this pageant and winning. And so that was a platform that it's a national platform that I'm now able to speak through. And so, that was a visibility strategy for me. And then how are you promoting your brand? What are the avenues and areas that you are using to promote yourself out there and get your brand out there, get yourself out there? Again, it's about your mindset, and it's about the market. How are you marketing your brand, and how are you selling yourself? Pricing is involved in all of this. I had trouble with pricing myself because I didn't feel worthy enough to actually price it where it should be in the market. So let me give you the next 4 major benefits. Now that I've given you the elements, let me run through the last 4 benefits of building a strong personal brand for yourself. And so truly, you show up more visibly and powerfully because you don't look like or sound like anybody else in your competition. You look and sound different. You energetically attract the right people and the right clients to you. It forces you to up level and operate so much more confidently. I'm all about audacious confidence. So it forces you to up level yourself in your mindset and how you show up. And it builds unshakable trust with yourself and with others. It builds that self-efficacy because you're consistent and cohesive. Zig Ziglar says, if people like you, they listen to you. But if they trust you, they do business with you. So building your brand is about building trust with other people, and they want to do business with you when that happens. All right. Home stretch, home stretch. So I'm giving you all an opportunity now to raise your hand to build your personal brand with me. If you trust that I can do this, if you think that I can do this, and I didn't even give you this other story, I wanted to have another one of my close friends and clients, CC Espew, who just spoke at TEDx in Eustis, Florida, and she is a two-time TEDx speaker. And both times I was there with her, did her makeup for her. I don't, I don't promote my makeup business anymore, but for friends and certain clients, I still do makeup for them and hair. But I was there to do her makeup for her both times that she spoke, and both times we had a little wardrobe conversation because I'm like, I'm not letting you go out looking like that. We have to make sure you can't pull off red, Michael. Listen, blue is a trust color, Michael, and what you do with blue is amazing. So blue is a really good color for you, and it does help you show up powerfully because it is very good, strong trust color. So let's see. So what we're going to cover, we're going to really go into the posture and presentation part of the branding. And I thank you, Cassie. Thank you so much. Posture and presentation. Those are the two areas we're really going to focus on during this this 2-day. I'm gonna give you 2 days with me, 2-day experience to really do a deep dive into your core, to clarify your unique selling proposition. What is your brand messaging? Build your confidence in who you are and who you're out there to serve and what you have to offer. Remove the obstacles that are holding you back and develop those brand assets that are in your presentation. So that's really what we want to really dig into that. I still think two days is not enough. I would love to do this in like 6 weeks to really do a deep dive, but I'm giving you 2 days. You can go to audaciousbranding.com and we're going to put it up on the screen. And Brooke, you can also put it in the comments. Go to Audacious Concept. No, that's the wrong one. See, why am I the person doing this? It's audaciousbranding.com, not Audacious Concept. So we got to change that. The workshop will be on February 17th and 18th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Those are the dates. And we're going to do a lab. We're going to be on Zoom together, and we're going to dig deep into those areas that I talked about. And so we're gonna help you show up more powerfully to make the impact that you want to make. So what you're going to do is you're going to get 2 days with this intensive brand building workshop. You're going to have a workbook that you can go through with all the exercises. We're going to do exercises together, so don't be shy. We're going to go in breakouts. We're going to do these things. We're going to have some peer-to-peer coaching opportunities so that you could know how you're showing up, how it's showing up to others in the room. And then we're also going to do, oh, thank you. Yep, there it is. And we're also going to do, have 30 days of email support. Remember, I said responsiveness and accessibility is important to me. That's one of my values. So we're going to have 30 days of email support as well. You'll get a bonus Q&A call after with me so that you can ask me anything about it. And you're going to get this program that I did on how to book yourself on TV. You'll get the video course on booking yourself on TV. That course is $997 retail. You're going to get that as part of this. And instead of paying $3,491, it's only $497 for this 2-day plus all this other stuff course with me. So I encourage you, go to audaciousbranding.com. You can take a look at it. If the $497 one-time pay is you're not able to do that, you can do it in 2 different payments. You'll see there are 2 options on the website where you can do the 2-pay option where you pay it pay, I think it's like $260, 2 payments of $260, or the $497. And if you need a further opportunity to break that up, just email support@aliciacouri.com. If you email us at support@aliciacouri.com, then we can go ahead and have a chat around it. So that I really want, I think this year, and this is just an aside, after having surgery at the end of last year, and then again a couple weeks ago for I was diagnosed a couple years ago with breast cancer, a form of breast cancer called DCIS. And we had been managing it for a couple years. And then my surgeon decided we need to go in and take it out. So I had a partial mastectomy back in November of last year. And then in January of this year, we went back in, made sure that everything was cleared out. I came out of that experience really saying, you know what, I need to stop holding back all the stuff that I have inside of me. I really need to start helping more people step out and get the confidence that they need, stand out more powerfully, be the best person that they can be. And so that's why I'm offering this. That's why I'm going to give you this time to work with, to really help you get to where you want to go, where you desire to go, and where you need to go. So that's it for me. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the comments if you have questions about it, or reach out to us, support@aliciacouri.com. Let me see if I can quickly type this in so I can put it up on the screen. And yeah, just send us an email, support@aliciacouri.com. If you have any other questions about it, or you could DM me, again, accessibility. DM me. If you go to alicia360.com, you can send me a DM, and I will respond to you as soon as I am able to. I don't answer my phone. I don't answer DMs after a certain time at night, after 9 o'clock, unless you're a close friend. I don't answer DMs. and for all of you who joined us on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitch, thank you so much for listening to me. And I appreciate you so much. Were there any questions before I sign off? Brooke, was there anyone who had any questions for us that I can answer that came up in the comments? I don't think so. Okay, I don't think we saw any questions. So hopefully you all are ready. You're going to the website. You're going to check it out. Send me your questions if you have any. And I will see you guys, next time. Hopefully I'll see you on the 17th, the 16th and the 17th. 16th and the 17th of February to help build your brand more powerfully. And as always, be bold, be brave, and every day do one thing to step out with audacious confidence. There was one other thing I did want to mention, and I had it right here in my notes, and I didn't talk about it. And I think it's important. That's why I'm mentioning it now, is that as you're building out your brand, some of you might think, well, I'm just shy, I'm introverted, and I don't want, I'm not going to do this because I'm introverted or I'm shy. And I just wanted to say around that is that being shy is a mindset. Being shy is a mindset. I thought I was shy until I remembered that 3-year-old girl. Shyness is a mindset. It's a limiting belief. It's not the truth. Introversion is a wiring in your brain. Being introverted just means that you prefer to think things through than really vocalize them. You need private time. You need alone time to really process things. That's introversion. It's not how you express yourself. It's not how you show up. Introversion is not the same thing as being shy. And I want to encourage you all that if you have kids, do not tell them or don't say that they're shy. because that builds a mindset within them that they can't speak up, or they can't stand up, or they can't be in front of crowds because they're shy. So do me that favor and don't talk to kids about themselves being shy, because being an introvert and an extrovert is a wiring in your brain versus a state of mind. Okay? And with that, I'm going to sign off. And I thank you all for joining. And those of you who are watching on the replay, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. And I will always, you can catch me on my shows, Unleash Your Audacious Confidence on Monday on winwinwomen.tv. You can catch me on my podcast on Wednesdays. Our new season is coming out at the end of February on Leading with Audacious Confidence. Thank you, Couri. Yes, there's a difference between introversion and shyness. So catch me on the podcast, Leading with Audacious Confidence. And coming back in May would be Love My Body, Love Myself. That show is coming back. And Small Business Saturday shout out. Again, if you want to be a guest on any of those shows and shout out your brand, contact me, support@aliciacouri.com. I'd love to have you as a guest on any of those shows if you're ready to share your brand with others. So good night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you all. And I'm going to go look at all the comments and respond to all of you. And I will see you next time. Mwah.